Welcome back, guys. Today's class is about a recap of what we spoke last time, last week with Hyper-V, um, installing Hyper-V, creating a virtual machine within the Hyper-V hypervisor. So today we're going to continue that and talk a little more about the different things about what Hyper-V is, how to configure, manage the Hyper-V virtual machines, how to install the Hyper-V virtual machines, uh, you know, how to enable the roles, um, what's networking, what's IP. I'm going to touch base on that again. I know I spoke about that in the earlier class. What's IP address classes, IP, public IP, and then classes A through E. And then I'll also explain a little bit about uh, virtualization. And then we'll talk about the roles that we're going to install, some architecture, build, and how that works. In a production environment, we'll talk about NUMA spanning, SCVMM, talk about synchronous replication, replication configuration, which is uh, Hyper-V. We'll talk about storage migration if I got some time, and how to create a virtual machine. Sure, I'll leave this for another topic, but we'll create a new virtual machine today. And then we'll talk about that's it. So we'll do that. Let's get to it. So in this lab, I'm going to create a new server, or we can use an existing server. It doesn't matter what we use. We can create an existing and install the client at the same time. Uh, we'll install this client with Windows 7. Um, let's see if I can install this while we're talking about that. Install now. So Windows 7 is deprecated. Here's my 2008 server. Um, so in the last class, I think I spoke about installing the Active Directory role. I did install the Active Directory role and ADDS, Domain Services role. And we also installed DNS, file services, and web services, a web server IIS. In terms of features, we have 3 of the 42 installed. In terms of the net framework, DNS server tools, the modules, Active Directory modules for Windows PowerShell, ADDS snap-ins, and group policy management. Um, we also talked about um, internet connection and enabling and disabling TLS 1.2 and enabling 1.2 and 1.1. So we did that, and we were able to go to www.microsoft.com. Should work now. And then recommend. That's fine. And there we go. Pricing your plans. And then there you go. So yeah, that's 2008. Um, right now I'm installing Windows 7 Enterprise. I'll go ahead and install that fresh. I'm not going to um, format it or extend it or add a specific uh, drive. So I'm just going to cancel that out and just click next. I'm going to use the whole space. And then while that's running, I'm going to go back to, I guess, let's start talking about Hyper-V and what Hyper-V is. So Hyper-V, um, again, it's a hypervisor type 2 um, application. So I'm trying here, right? So we have our laptop here. Um, hard drive. And that's my physical hard drive. And then I have my NIC cards. Um, Obviously, I have my NIC card, and that's going to, if I can do that, my NIC card, and um, that's going to provide internet uh, to our Windows 12 machine, Windows 2012 R2 machine. It's also going to provide internet uh, within our machine, and then within Hyper-V, it's going to create it's going to create an external. It's going to create a hyper external virtual switch, and I will. Yeah, so that's our external virtual switch. Um, and again, that'll come from our Ethernet, zero, which is our um, laptop or desktops, my desktop's internet, and it'll distribute to the virtual machines once we build those virtual machines within here. So if I were to build two virtual machines, they would build that. And again, these virtual machines, um, the bare metal machine will distribute will create some NIC teaming, so it'll intertwine with that. And I'll talk about that in a little bit later on and give you a better explanation of how that works. Okay, so let's get to it. Okay, let's. So this gets created in the hypervisor manager, the external virtual switch. It's a little bit bigger here. Move that to our drawing here. Oh, this here. That's going to be our virtual switch. Um, and I'm going to lock this so I'll move it. I'm going to put some color here. Right. And I'll put it. Some color. Let's give this another color there. Oh, there you go. And I will. Okay. So we kind of get the gist of things here. Again, um, and this will work here, or again, we can have a neck teaming if we want. If I have some time, I'll show you how to create neck teaming. And then from here, this will distribute it to our um, two virtual machines or whatever virtual machines I want to create. If I have enough time, I'll try to create two, one with Windows 10, one with Windows 7. So we'll go ahead and try that. And again, so I have Nick Team. Um, I'll explain what Nick Teaming does and what we can use both Nick cards for. I think I explained in one of my other classes. We have one we can use for RDP, which is a great, you know, in production environment. Best practice, we can do that. And we can create one for net. Um, so let's get to it. All right. Right. So if we go to our learn.microsoft.com training module and we look for configure and manage Hyper-V virtual, um, after completing the module there, you should be able to describe, um, settings, configurations, generation versions. This is what we're going to talk about a little bit more. But within here, we are going to create, we're going to manage our virtualization and Hyper-V virtualization in a server environment. And we're going to install that on top of an OS, and that's going to be our hypervisor. It's going to be a hypervisor that's installed on top of our OS, also known as a hypervisor two. Um, with using generation two, I know older models we used to use generation one, like 2008, 2012. So you have a better idea. And I'll also explain that. I'll also explain the difference between what VHD and VHDX formats are. So we'll get into this kind of stuff. But again, this is a great link for you guys to take a look at, start it, and run along and create your own Hyper-V virtual machines. If you guys have a chance, please download um, again Oracle. I have videos on that and then how to download the Workstation Pro. Um, Workstation Pro machines, and you should be able to download Workstation 16, version 16 and version 17. Okay. Let's create an account, create an admin account. Call it, um, it's just to create an account, local machine. So it looks like the computer name is not valid. Um, so we'll have to create a machine, type a computer name. So we'll call this 17 client. Uh, Next. And then we'll create a password. And then over here, you can give yourself a hint or you can type in whatever you want, but I know the password, so that's going to be my hint. And then we're going to improve Windows automatically. We can install the updates. We can install the import or ask later. This one, I'm just going to use the recommended settings. And then we're going to go based on our time slots. If you're uh, in Europe or you're in um, North America, so Pacific time, international time, Samoa, Alaska, Central America, Central time. I'm gonna go on Eastern time zone. for US and Canada, and confirm the date and time. But next, go ahead and finish that up there. And let's get to it. So we also I have some links here. I'll post these links up here, and this will kind of explain to you what generation one and generation two, but I'll also give you a sort of a general description of what it means, and the different hardware and within these generations, like your memory, your processor, your NUMA, your IDE controller, SCSI, network adapter, COM, diskette Pro. And then we'll also talk about the firmware and memory and processor for generation two. As we install it, we'll talk about that and the different managing systems. I'm not sure how far I'm going to get. Here's a video if you want to see, but that's Microsoft showing you a video. But I'm going to go ahead and install it for you guys, and you guys can follow along with me, okay? So here's the instructions if you need to uh, from Microsoft Learn website. Just make sure that you sign in and take the training if you need to. There is a course for that they do have. It's called the Windows Server Hybrid Administrator Associate Certificate. So take a look at these documentations here at the side. How to create a virtual machine on Hyper-V. Um, and follow the instructions here if you want to. Again, that's totally up to you. I'll show you guys how to do that. Um, but I want you guys to follow along, because when you're going out there in the job field and you do get these questions in a job interview, you know how to answer them. Um, so take a look at that. Um, okay, that's that. And here's the instructions on how to do that. So let's re-talk about what we talked in our last class about what a network is and what an IP address is, because you need to understand what that does and how that works. So a network is a computer, are computers or devices that are interconnected and communicate and share resources in a system. A network also allows for the exchange of data and the collaboration across a LAN, which is your local area network, and a WAN wide area network environment. From a geographical point perspective, so understand um, what those are and how that intertwines um, when you're working with that. So we're building a network, right? So our devices, our computers are going to be interconnected, and I want them to communicate and share resources in our system. So it's important to understand what that means, because you're going to hear that word a lot, and you want to make sure you understand what that means. So what is an IP address protocol? What is an IP internet protocol address? That's also very widely used in Hyper-V and in networking. And especially when you're creating virtual machines, or when you're assigning DHCPs or static IPs dynamically or statically um, for the network to read. So what is an IP? It is a unique identifier which gets assigned to a device connected to the network. So that unique identifier is 4 octets, could be ranging from 0 to 254 uh, in 4 octets, and they get separated between periods. So understand that we're enabling two devices to communicate. So as we enable those two devices to communicate, so here's our Windows 7 machine. Where looks like we've installed it. So let's see if I give it some internet here. Yeah, give it some internet. So let's see if we can give it our virtual. Let's go to that, and check the adapter settings and all that. That's just the machine right now. Let's focus on what Hyper-V is. Let's open up the drawing. Okay. So all right. Okay, so let's make this a little smaller here. So so when you're assigning, actually this is a good idea. Let's show you what this is. When you're assigning um a network, right? I mean, well, let's go to properties to on IP addresses. Okay. So when you're assigning, so when you're assigning an IP, it'll enable two devices to communicate with each other. So you have your source device and you have your destination device. So your source device um, will have um, that acknowledgement that it is aware that it has that offer, and then it'll send it over to the destination computer. So when you're looking at the different types, you have your TCP IPv4 and your IPv6. Your IPv4 is a version 4 protocol. Uh, and in terms of how you get the IP settings automatically, you can obtain them automatically, which is dynamically through DHCP, or you can use the following IP addresses, and you can create different IP addresses based um, on on the private uh, private network. Let's give it an IP 5. We can give it a fake gateway or we don't, doesn't matter. And we can give it a DHCP. So let's stick to this. Let's go like this. What I got for IPs, I need to double check my DNS. So let's check my DNS. So right now, yeah, okay. Um, well, this one here, we can put it on the same VM net so that it communicates with each other. Um, I mean, keep it on VM and then give it a NAT. So let's see if we can do that. Settings. I'll keep it on the same VM net and hit OK. And then over here, we'll go back to settings. And we will add a network card, our network adapter, and we will give it net. Okay. Because it's not hot swappable, it'll sort of freeze the computer and save the virtual machine state files. But usually when they're doing stuff like this, we shut off the machine. It's not recommended to keep it on. Again, you can also use the VMNet 8, which provides NAT internet to the network on a different virtual machine network. Once that's done, we're gonna hit OK. Probably reset the machine since it's not swappable. So there are two types. So if you want to learn a little bit about TCP/IP addressing and subnetting, not sure if I talked about it in my last, but I will briefly touch base on it. Again, the IP is a 32-bit number. So here's a 30, it's a 32-bit number. It uniquely identifies a host, computer or other device such as a printer router or a machine or a server. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as that device or computer on a TCP/IP network, which is your IPv4. So they're expressed in dot decimals, like I said, in four octets. So you have a first octet dot, right? And then second octet dot, third octet dot, and then fourth. That's what that means when it's dotted decimal format. So that's your dotted decimal format. So to understand how subnet masks are used to distinguish between the hosts and networks, those are what IPs are for. And then examine the IP address in a binary notation is ones and zeros. That's a 32-bit number that it's used. And this number may be hard to make sense of, but again, we can divide this into four parts of 8 binary bits. So we can take the first 8, 6, 7, 8, that's one, and then divide that into four parts, right? So it starts from 2 to the power 0, 2 to the power 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So 2 to the power 7. Um, Again, these 8-bit sections are ones and zeros, ons or offs, right? So it might be hard to make sense of, but um, those 8-bit sections, like I mentioned, they're octets. So an IP address, for example, of 192.168.123 or 132 becomes 1100000 dot, and then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So for Morse uses, like converting the binary address into dotted decimal format is the way to go. The decimal numbers separated by periods are just octets converted from the binary to the decimal notation. Okay. So in and also an IP address, there's two parts. We have our network and our host. Our network is usually the first 3 octets or VLAN. And then our fourth octet is the address host or host address. We also have a subnet mask. Let me show you. So um, looks like the driver device failed. So we're gonna close that off. And then see if we can install the VMware tools first. So this is the IP address and 4 octets, our subnet mask, our default gateway, our preferred DNS server, and our alternate DNS server. Um, Install the tools first. And then power management. Work on the power management, which is in our control panel. Little icons, power options, and then we will turn on off the display. Never, we don't want that. We want to keep it on so that we don't have to worry about it. This is good for servers. Again, there are balance plans and different advanced power settings that you may want to take a look at that. But for this instance, I just want to save the changes. I'm not going to choose what the power button does. I do want it to shut off. It's not a kiosk. So that's usually these options we can keep as a kiosk. Are used for kiosk machines, are constantly on. Um, One, and we also want to change the computer name. So um, sysdm, or we could just go to C drive, right click, properties, computer, right click, manage, right click, properties. Okay, so let's just use this system. So look for system. I guess it doesn't. Oh, here we go. There it is. So system, and then change the settings. And it looks like I've already changed it. Perfect. It's a work group machine. So it's just a work group machine. It's not connected to any domain. We're not going to connect it. And we'll go ahead and install it. The drivers. Let's see what happens here. Hopefully there's no issues. Like our 2008 R2 server, but if not, I downloaded the new versions, so hopefully we should be able to have the new version. I can always move that over. So I downloaded those earlier. Um, VMware tools. Okay, so put them back in our applications. I probably have my applications here. So here's my VMware tools. So this is what I've downloaded, so we can install those manually if we want. Let's see what happens. But I have a version, I think it's 11 point, yeah, there we go. So 11.3.5 with Workstation Pro 16. I know when I created this machine, I did select Windows 7, 64-bit. So let's see, so you can't, so let's download VMCI drivers for these. Looks like the vSock machine communication, it doesn't work. Okay, so let's try to update our version. So let's update our versions, get the latest updates for these. Looks like it doesn't like that, so that's fine. Yeah, desktop, desktop, show desktop. Right here, left corner. I'll try to move over, copy that. Desktop, paste. So let's copy this to our drive. Create a folder called VMware Tools. Paste. Okay, click. And see what's to be powered on. Okay. Okay, yes, doesn't want to install. So let's go ahead and download it. Let's reboot the machine. mount this. You know what? Let's mount this ISO here. That's fine. Doesn't want to drag. I'll mount it. Let's create a work network. Uh, oh, if I can drag it again, now that I restarted the machine. Nope. All right, so let's go ahead and mount the CD DVD. Okay, so I'll mount that ISO here, browse. Um, Applications, no more tools, no more tools. All right, so let's go ahead and mount that, see what happens. All right, let's run the whereabouts. Yes. So version we have this time should have 12.4.5, hopefully. I still got the old version, eh? Okay. Down about, see what happens. Populate now. That before um, manager. Okay, so we will set computer name. Copy. Host. So if I usually go here and click on that at the bottom, wins C Win 7 CLCMD. It's not that. I'm gonna give it a new A record. All right, with the next IP address, I'll just give it a next number. It doesn't matter. And then create that PTR record. Hopefully I should be able to move files this way. Um, it's on the same network, done. And then refresh. Should have a lookup zone, refresh. Okay, refresh. Okay. And then um, give it that IP address. Okay. Properties. Properties. Oh, that's my. That is a loopback adapter that I used. So this one here is just a hardware that I added when I was creating a firewall. Would be this one here, Ethernet 0 properties. The properties here, and then DNS. Okay. There's no gateway. You have the gateway, whatever you want. I think I gave it a fake gateway, but gateways do provide internet. So it needs internet because it's taking internet from my machine. Um, let's give it, okay, let's go ahead and put that there. Okay. And this was the same. DNS is on our server, so it'll have the same IP address. Is there a domain controller? And then hit OK. Close. Refresh. Refresh. And then we need to open up command prompt and remove the IP and do an NS lookup. We'll do a IP config. Right. It's just giving us a DHCP right now. So I'm going to do the renew. So that'll renew it. Oh, sorry, release renew. So we need to release it first. Release the IP. And then renew the IP. I'll explain to you what that means in our notes here. Um, So these are the commands here, and these are the basic commands that you're gonna want to know, especially when you're and you're asked in an interview or writing an exam. So you have your IP config all, which details the configuration information. So let's type that in. I'll show you guys. Okay. Oh, spelled that wrong. Hit okay. So again, these IP commands, they display the current TCP IP network configuration. We can also use this to refresh DNS settings, DHCP. We might want to flush the DNS cache. So these are some options that we have. And it also provides our tables and provides a brief description of some of those command switches. So even if we were to run the IP config and help command, we should be able to see those. So those are all the tables and commands. You just type in IP slash um, question mark, and this will give you all the adapters, any wildcard characters that are allowed, what the renew does, what the renew 6 does, release 6. So obviously the renew 6, release 6 is for IPv6 IP addressing, um, for the specified adapter, and then we can flush register display show class ID, show class ID 6. Well, again, it's for IPv6, and that's for you to take a look at and discover when you have some time. So these are the main commands I want to show you guys. So these commands are important. So we've already showed you what the IP config does. IP config. Oh, IP IP config. So that'll give us our DNS suffix, our host name, what kind of node it is, any IP routing is enabled. It'll give us our subnet mask that we gave it. Right? So whatever we gave for IPv4. Okay. And then we have our advanced options. We're not going to touch that right now. Our DNS or WINS. Um, That's there for the liking. If you want to read it, we can use the connection DNS suffix in the DNS registration. So you can make changes for that. And then hit OK. And then hit OK. Close. Again. Table and enable. Okay. So that's our local private IP addressing. And then we also have our IP release, which releases the lease for the DHCP server. We have a renew, which renews our lease. And then we also have DNS resolver cache stuff, which is our flush DNS and our displayed DNS entries, and then register the DNS with the host client name with the DNS server. So let's go ahead and try that. Register DNS. Remember, we put in the DNS settings earlier on in our domain controller. Um, right, and we are going to press DNS manager. Okay. And there is our static IP. And here's a reverse lookup zone, RLZ. And that's also our pointer records. So our pointer record will point. Again, we're also going to launch NSLookup. So that was our next thing. So make sure that it resolves IPs to host names and host names to IPs. So it looks like it does. Perfect. That's what we want. And then we can also, run that manually by running the NSLookup and then the name of the computer. right? Resolves that, which is what we want. Perfect. And then we can also do an NS lookup for an IP for that specific machine. So 192.168 dot and then let's see if that works. Yeah, so it resolves. We also found the name. So it resolves DNS. Perfect, great. We can now move on. So again, these are the commands. I'll post a link for you guys in the description. So that's works. That's all good. So now I should be able to pull up those files from the DC if the DC is there. DC server slash enter. There works. Able to ping. Um, so let's go back to here. Let's move that file onto the move that folder here. Copy and then paste. So I've moved that whole file. Okay, so that folder is there. Grab the um, let's see if we can open it from our Windows 7 machine. Okay. Grab the name of the machine, DNS. Usually I like to copy from the DNS. Um, a little bit better. Phones here. Let's grab the proper nomenclature or IP. Doesn't matter what we want to use. We can use either or. So let's go back to our Windows 7 machine. Let's go to run. Windows R. Run. And then paste. Run. Put the IP. Be able to copy, so I have to type it in. SCDC SCDC. I'll do C $sign. See if that works. I think it should work. Um, let's see if we can share it. Give access. Let's give access to everybody. Add. Hit OK. Share. That's our link. I'm going to copy the link. Our Windows 7 machine. Windows R. Paste. SCDC. Sorry. DCSRV. Oh, there we go. So I got the key. I can put in my admin. Okay. Users. All right. Of our users. Go to our desktop. There it is. So we should be able to now install it. Want to mount it. Should be able to mount it. Let's see if I can copy the whole thing first. Right click, copy, C drive, downloads, click and paste. Let's get this working here now. Right click, and then open. Don't want to burn this. Not sure why it's doing that. I don't want to burn it. Just want to run it. With browse. I want to mount this. Let's go ahead and right click. That's not the old one. It's really weird. I have to take a look at that. Maybe there's something I'm missing here, but let me show you guys how to do that. Um, no. Uh, build number. So that's a different build number. What that creates. See, I don't want to burn it. I want to open it. Um, hmm, okay. Okay. Well, I'll have to come back to that. That's fine, no problem. But take a look at that. Let's go back to our machine. No problem. Okay. Let's go back to our notes. All right. So again, we're going to install Hyper-V on a machine server manager. So we're going to manage the roles and features. And we're going to do this on a Windows 12, 2012 R2 machine. So here's our 22 machine. We're going to go to start and then add roles and features in our server manager. We're going to click next and click next. And then that's our server from our server pool. That's what we're going to be using. And click next. And then we are going to add Hyper-V, add the features. And this is what I want. So what this does, what this means is that our machine cannot be installed because our hypervisor is already installed, already running. So that's fine. We'll close the machine. That's how we resolve it. We need to add 3 lines of code to the machine, to the VMX files. In order to do that, um, here's the 3 lines of code that we're going to add um, for this specific error. Um, so we're going to add these 3. And then we're also going to enable Intel on this machine. We're going to shut it off. We're going to go to settings and we're going to first, what we're going to do is we're going to um, go to the CPU processor and we're going to virtualize an Intel VTX VDP. We're going to turn that virtualization on and then we're going to power it back on again and see what happens. If that doesn't work, we're going to go ahead and install those 3 lines of code. So I'm going to shut off the machine. Shut down. Machine completely. We'll wait. I'll shut it down. Now, if the machine asks you to why you're shutting down, we're gonna say planned maintenance. So this is a planned maintenance. Windows 7. We'll type in R, and then we'll do Win version. And our version is Enterprise 6.1 Service Pack 1. Okay, we can communicate with each other, so that's perfect. That's good. Um, should be able to read those documents there, which is what I want. Cool. Got that. Install whatever I want on that. Just transfer files left and right. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're gonna have to see. I'll have to get back to you guys on that one there. So it looks like 2008 and Windows 7 aren't able to um, backup recovery. We don't need to do that. Check for updates. Settings. Sorry. And these versions of Windows are deprecated. So it's good practice to kind of troubleshoot these kind of things, especially when they happen um, in an environment like this. So things do change um, and get upgraded. I have to troubleshoot why the more tools isn't working on a Windows 7, and I'll create another video on that on how to resolve that issue. And if you guys are more than welcome to post your comments, if you guys know or have a resolution already, that's great, perfect. Share that with everybody else on our YouTube channel, and please do so. All comments are welcome. So let's go back to our server, Windows 2012 server. Um, just remember, guys, when we're doing these things, create snapshots of it, so that we have snapshots and we can revert back to specific time and points, especially when we're doing these labs. Uh, okay, so let's open up the file. Let's see what happens here. Okay, so that machine's off. Let's go back to the settings, virtual machine settings here, and edit the processor, which is our virtualization. Let's turn it on. And then if that doesn't work, we'll go ahead and we'll edit this file here. And we'll add those 3 lines of code like I mentioned in my documentation. So we're going to open this with Notepad. And is it in here? Let's see. Looks like it's already in here. It's enabled as true. So um, let's just add that on first and then power on the machine. Let's go there. It's enabled. Hit OK. and then power on the machine. I was like, did I have auto login? Yeah, I did have auto login. That's good. Okay, so let's go ahead and try that now. Try that again. Role-based or feature-based installation. Uh, There's our machine. Let's get our Hyper-V role and feature. Add the feature for that. And Hyper-V cannot be installed. Our hypervisor is already running. Okay, so let's go ahead and edit that file. Shut the file off first. Let's try that again here. And we will go ahead and edit that file. So that being said, take this here as is. It's got to be exactly the same. Copy that and then paste that here. Uh, okay, and then save it. We're going to save on top of that. We're going to save that, save it, and we are going to try again. There we go. So we're able to click that, add the feature. Um, Start the machine. Start the machine. Let's try this again. Okay. Draw along. Dashboard, add role and feature. Click next. Click next. Uh, Click next. Hyper-V, add feature. So the validation found some problems on the server, which you want to install the features. The selected features are not compatible with the current configuration of your selected server. Surprise, 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 surprise. So the machine has that means processor. So it has that enabled. Okay. E. Oh, okay, interesting. It's Maybe I do have it running. Let's see if it's running already. Um, my advisor. Okay, well, then we can um also fix it with command prompt. See what happens. I think I also put that in my documentation. Let's try two processors. Uh, what do we got here? Oh, I don't know what was that. Right click, settings. um, push for processor, 16 GB. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Right, so let's go ahead and try the enabling with PowerShell. Got 4 GB in memory. BTC Intel, it's running. Let's Pro or 11 Pro, which is what we have. And 10, okay, which we don't have. Okay, so um, let's take this, copy, and we can use the dism command, or we can use the Hyper-V PowerShell console. So let's copy that. Go back to our machine. Hit off. Enter. Should now install the role. I'll post that command in the description. Okay, looks good. Yeah. Do you want to start? Yes, I do. So go ahead and install that PowerShell. So we've installed it the manual way. Again, it's that's okay. It happens. I know in 2016, um, still will work. Again, the workarounds are there for um, troubleshooting, and I think in 2016, 19, and 22 it'll work automatically. So I don't think we have to worry about that. But um, so we should be good. Um, right. So if we look at our tools, we have our Hyper-V installed, right, and then should be able to um, I have all the features here. I was administrator, which is what I did. Um, so enable to roll through the settings on my machine. Maybe that's why. Okay. Okay, so let's do that. Let's go to programs and features. Um, programs and features. It should be there. There. Next. Next. Hyper-V is installed. Right. It is installed. The manager. Oh, let's just what, let's create a new machine. Do this again. Let's do this on 2016. Supported here 2016, 2019. This is 2019. That's fine. Um, let's go ahead and put this in here. Machine V, Hyper-V. Okay. Fine. Problem. We'll troubleshoot that a little bit later. Rebooting this again, actually, hold on before we do that. Customize that. Um, machine, that's good. Okay. And customize, we'll give it HGB, close, finish. Okay, so let's reboot this machine. All right, let's just install the machine. Remember, Windows 12 is deprecated. I went back just to troubleshoot this. I'll have to look into this a little bit deeper. I'm just gonna go new machine just so that there's no issues. Uh, for the time being, it's all good. Just create a new machine from scratch. Get some practice in there. So I'll go ahead and install the 2019 server, 2016, whatever, to your choice. Remember to go online. I'll have the posting for that too. The links in the description of the video when I upload this to YouTube. Take a look at what's going on with the server itself. We can, it's not something that What happened? Looks like everything's okay. I'm not sure why it's interesting. That's fine. Just remember in situations like this, it's always good to troubleshoot it, especially when you're running into problems. Um, that's how you learn. Um, issues always happen. Gives you that ability to learn and to fix things on your own. I'm gonna free some space here. See if I can free some space. Okay, so hopefully these machines hopefully will okay, so this one timed out. Um I'm going to suspend this guess just to give myself some free space. Um and go back to our machine. So let's go back to the settings within the machine itself. Um minimize all this stuff. It's out of the way. So this one's out of gigs, two processors, perfect. Not. I'm just gonna leave this on that for now. Or we can give it VM9 options. Um, all right, perfect. Okay, okay. So again, that line, those two lines of code only work on the Windows 2012 machine. So think I've, oh, I think settings. I mounted it already, but let's confirm that again. Uh, no, I didn't. Okay, so I'll have to mount that again. Cancel settings. Second, we'll go ahead and browse to our applications. I want to use 2016 or 2010. It doesn't matter. I can use 2016. So we use 2016 and then click OK. And then I'm going to click in and then use the up and down arrow keys and then go to SATA CD-ROM and hit enter. That up. Okay. Good. Right. Second. Okay. Technical difficulties loading it. Okay. Hopefully it'll stop here. Um, processes in the background. Uh, Using okay. 1 sec. So I'll have to end task. That's fine. So end task here.